Hello, I'm Opal Hope Bennett, shorts producer at POV.
Hi, I'm Lasse. I'm the director of All Cats Are Grey in the Dark.
Hi, Lasse. Welcome. Good to see
Salut.
you. Great to have you here. Me in Car, you in Switzerland. Um, I love this film, and I know that everyone that has seen it, the discussions we've had afterwards have always been like, where on earth did he find this amazing individual? So really excited to get into a little bit of the backstory of Christian and his wonderful cats. So the film kind of has four subjects, right? Christian, Katjuscha, Marmelade, and Alexa, kind of. Talk to us about how you found Christian and these two amazing cats.
Well, this film is my bachelor diploma film, and during all my studies, I was interested in making a film about somebody who's like an outsider of society. And in my bachelor year, I always thought I'll make a film about a friend whom I've been filming since my days of youth. It's like an archive film. But then I went to a bar in my hometown in Switzerland where I've been like serving food when I was a teenager and getting drunk when I was also a teenager. And we went to this bar, and then suddenly I saw this man with two cats at a huge glass window. Reminded me of an Edward Hopper painting.
Yeah.
I was like love struck and just observed him the whole night like a creep because I couldn't get over the fact that he's just talking to his cats. He was just in his own bubble in this bar. He didn't care about the other humans. He didn't care about any reactions from humans. He still also really happy in the way he was living this bar night. And then I realized that this might be a very interesting character. So I asked the people from the bar if I can get his phone number. And the next day I called him and we met again in the same bar at the same time, basically.
Wow, so serendipity in a small town. Which
Yes,
town is your hometown?
it's Wittnau, St. Gallen. It's a small town at the border to Austria.
Ah, wonderful. Okay, so that's amazing that that the barkeep was able to put you in touch. So you just had a conversation with him. Like, how did it evolve into you going to film him and Marmalade and Katjuscha?
And it's, I think, like in a timeline, I was in my bachelor year, I was like already in the middle, and I should soon be starting shooting my film. But as I was seeing this new character, I had to change the whole thing. So when I approached Christian, I already like approached him in the context that I'm a documentary filmmaker and I'm really interested in getting to know him. So the our relationship, film student and potential protagonist, was very clear from the beginning, which kind of made everything like super clear from the start. And he was very much into the idea of sharing his life with the world. He was very open to this idea. So on the first day, I told him, he shared his life story with me, and I shared my smaller life story with him. And yeah, we clicked, I would say. And then from this moment on, I was just meeting him all the time. And because I was under time pressure from school, we scheduled like really fast, already a test shooting with the cinematographer. And then we saw his apartment. And then we were like, okay, this is it. This has so many, it's already so like visually it's so many things are already there.
Absolutely.
So the next step was just to find the narrative for the film.
So yeah, let's talk about the look. The observational approach I thought was absolutely brilliant, and the sort of texture that his apartment brings to the story is also really interesting, because you realize this is his whole world. It's built around these two cats, and I even felt like his wardrobe seemed to uh, reflect them. I don't know if that was something that was commonly how he dressed, but it seemed like he was constantly in monochromatic grays, you know, and to match his beloveds. So talk about first your what your creative approach was once you saw his apartment and sort of how he lived, how your creative approach evolved to what we see on screen.
When I met him, you know, like in this bar in the public space, he's dressed up very extravagant in his fashionable gray clothes and his boots, and it's like very extravagant, and he's very outgoing, and he creates so much attention. And then when we like dived into his apartment, I mean, the same flair is around, but also it's filled with void. It's filled with loneliness. It's a lot of empty space. It's a lot of, you just hear the room tone of his apartment. And we thought it's very, the way he like behaves and floats around with his two cats in this apartment is like he's on a theater stage acting out his dreams and desires with his cats. Like it's always a play. It's always he enters a room, the cats follow, and then they wander around in this space, and then the cats leaves the room and he follows. But it's always in these frames of the actual rooms. So it was so obviously clear for us in the beginning to use his room and his like the way he uses the room in a wide shot, because he uses his life as a stage, and also in the wide shot you can see that the room and his clothes are a part of his reality. I mean, if you only see close-ups and you don't see his face and his clothes, you'd get less information about who he actually is. So the wide shot then was very clear, and also it was very clear from the beginning to like not move the camera, so that we like choose a setting, we choose a frame, and within this frame he can he stages his own reality, and staged reality is like the reality of our documentary. And in this reality he kind of played with us. He wanted to like change his reality so that it gets more interesting for the viewer, and then he challenged us and how to like, let's do this, and then he creates within these frames, he creates extravagant like plays, and then we had to like
I just
down.
so I that's interesting that you say that, because there were moments that struck me as him being just really comfortable with the camera. I mean, particularly when he's in different states of undress, uh, and then you see him go to get the mail, in with no pants, and you're like, oh, this is, I guess, what he does. But it did seem like he was, very, very comfortable on camera, but also, there was a lot of him talking to the cats. I don't know if that's also how he would normally is, or if this was more of the stage reality that you mentioned. But he definitely came across as incredibly eccentric, like the savoring of the champagne, for instance.
I mean, if I think about it now, there are so many moments that he influenced on us. Like there is so many things he wanted to have in the film about him that are now actually in the film. Not especially in the way he wanted it to be. For example, he would have loved to have this whoosh moment in a slow motion shot with a crazy orchestra underlaid music. But in the end, he kind of also managed to put all these little details about his personality in the film. I'm also only realizing now. But he's a very natural in front of the camera. He doesn't care about the camera, actually. Also he pretends to not care. He has no problem with the situation of being filmed. But what is more difficult is that he tries to like act his own reality. You know, he's like trying to impress the camera. Basically, it's very natural, but also if he thinks, boy, it would be so great to clean my boots, then he realizes where our camera is placed, and this like puts himself in the frame super obviously. And then he sometimes like he gets like almost too much, and then we had just the deal, if he has an idea that we think this will never go into the film, we will still shoot it the way he wants it, so that in the end, if we have an idea or if we want to like create a moment of more silence, then he also lets us do it. And the game we played the most during the shoot is nobody can talk for 2 hours, and most of the scenes are from these hours, because then he like gets in a hypnotized, slowed down, like his natural mode. He's just concerned about his cats, and he talks in a not loud voice. And yeah, it's just the three of them wandering through the room.
So his interactions with humans is quite different than how he interacts with the cat.
He talks a lot. He's very outgoing, and he talks a lot.
Interesting. Okay. Because he seems to only talk to the cats. I remember the sequence where he brings them or brings Marmalade to the cat breeder, to the tomcats. And you would expect that he might be making conversation at the table. I mean, I'm sure that was what you chose to film or to edit in. But the impression that you get of him is that, you know, he's very sort of insulated from the external world, and it's focused on the cats. So that's really fascinating. So I wanted to also ask about your choice of you know, having it just ambient sound and there not being a score or anything, because I mean, I know that had to be a conscious choice. That's certainly something that would give the film a different feel. And interested in your decision there.
I mean, I was working with composers, and we were just talking about scoring this film, and realized really quickly that it's not working. I mean, we tried it, but for me it was clear it's not working, because I think in the silence and in this neutral sounds of the actual surrounding he's living, you can feel the loneliness even more, because that's what he hears. And there is actually 3 parts of music in the film, and they're all inspired by his own taste. The Katjuscha, the song in the credits, is the song he enjoys the most, and he sings a lot. And also he's a huge fan of opera.
Yes.
From Puccini, for example. And this is also, it was very complicated to get the rights of these 2 pieces for this film with a little money. But in the end, it kind of worked out.
The 4th character, Alexa, bringing it to us. It was very interesting to hear him conversing with what feels like a very American device, conversing in German with it. I thought, oh wow, it's the ubiquity of technology.
It was one of the best surprises we had when we came into his apartment, and like he's living his ordinary life, and suddenly he's like, we didn't see her, and then he's like, Alexa, what's my schedule tomorrow? And then he's just having a conversation with this device, who's also like a female voice, like he's also female with his 2 cats. And then this is so great, because it's like another layer to illustrate his not like really conversing with humans, but with animals or technology. And he's a fan of gadgets. He has these watches, he has the collars that are GPS tracking his cats, he has surveillance cameras. He's like a gadget guy. and then we did so many things with Alexa. We kind of, in the editing, at one point in the editing, like Alexa was guiding through the whole narrative, or she had a bigger role. She was also like really more a protagonist, but I'm really happy with it now that she has like 2 appearances, and these appearances are they're enough because they're very well, like they're funny, they're strange, and you learn a lot about the plot and his desire to get cats,
absolutely
to learn about
his
cats.
exchange. Yeah, exactly. That's exactly the sequence that I was thinking of. His exchange with her, where he like gets annoyed that she couldn't answer his question, and then he directs her to learn everything she can.
Which while filming was so great. I mean, we were filming him cooking and eating for several hours, and when this moment happened, it was such a great moment also in reality, because we knew I could have never like written this, or I could have never made up my mind to this dialogue.
Right.
Then it just happened. Yeah.
That was gold. Mm-hmm. I would be happy to speak with your cinematographer to just ask him a couple of questions.
I'll see. I'll check. One moment.
Hi, I'm Robin Angst, the cinematographer of All Cats Are Grey in the Dark.
It's a pleasure to speak with you, Robin. So were you and Lasse in school together? Is that how you met to be working on the project?
Yes, Lasse and I were on the same school, but not in the same year. But we know each other from the university.
Excellent. So yeah, please. This is a beautiful film, and I was asking Lasse about the inspiration that he received when you first walked into Christian's apartment and saw the space that he lived in. And I'm curious as to your lensing of the film. Of course, the tone of the cats, right? It's in the title. It's part of what makes them so unique. And it seems to also inform Christian's kind of color palette in life. So curious about your approach to shooting both of them.
So yeah, with the color palette, we were very lucky. We didn't actually didn't do anything there. It was like full. It was like a film set when you walked into Christian's apartment. And then our approach to shoot the movie was, we decided to use very wide lenses, so we can build like a stage for him, that we have wide shots that are static, so he can move inside the frame and we don't have to follow him everywhere. Like we were thinking a lot about like how do we capture the cats, because they are moving around without any control. Like we cannot tell them to sit somewhere. So we decided like to have this stage like thing, and we were very lucky that we decided to shoot it like that. So it's also like for Christian's apartment, we show in every frame, we show some parts of his style and of his apartment. So I think this also tells us a lot about him.
Yeah, definitely. And
without the need of cutting to any objects that we are showing in close up. It's like it's always there, but it's not too much in your face.
Right. I absolutely love the approach of the static camera and just making us feel like we're sort of have a window peering into his life. I wanted to ask about a couple of scenes that visually stood out to me. One, when he was in the bathroom, sort of sitting on the edge of the tub, in just his little underoos there, and then also the the sort of good night scene where he is professing his love to Marmalade. And just, the use of light and shadow in both of those sequences, I thought was really strong. Can you talk about those two?
Yeah, it was. This is a good question, because we were unsure like how we want to handle the darkness, or like in the evenings, and so we actually decided to leave everything quite normal. But when he says goodnight to Marmalade, normally he would have already have no lights anymore. So we were wondering if like we thought that it would look unnatural if we wanted to like do artificially something. So we just decided to like, he leaves on the light in on the, how is it called,
middle room
in the middle room of his apartment, so that we have like this kind of natural thing, that we have his light, and not that we are trying to do something there to
Right.
make it look as natural as it is. So I think the bathroom scene is the only scene where there is a fluorescent light, but it's also like it's how a bathroom feels, or how his bathroom actually is. So
Yeah, that scene gave me like a bit of Wes Anderson, just the way that it was framed and lit, and of course, his very quirky presentation as a character. This is really, really beautiful work, guys, and we're so glad to have this film on POV Shorts this season, and we're so glad to have it being considered by the Academy. So thank you both for joining me for this chat. It was really wonderful to see you again, Lasse, and wonderful to meet you. I'm forgetting your name. I'm terrible. Wonderful to meet you,
Robin.
It was wonderful to see you again, Lasse, and it was wonderful to meet you, Robin. Thank you both for joining me, and we'll see you again soon.
Thank you.
Thank you.